I'm so excited. We haven't done a drawing topic in a while, so we get to go back to our topic.
to our roots.
Yes, where it all began.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I'm feeling kind of orange today.
Ooh. Yeah, today is always an orange day until the next day when it's not.
Yeah. A wise man once said.
It's very insightful.
Ooh, okay. Can you read cursive? I should have written this in cursive. How funny would that have been? But then
I guess that would have been.
Then you probably couldn't have seen the topic. But today, we're going back to school.
Hey everybody, it's Sarah.
And it's Charity. And welcome to Bobbleheads on the Dash. So as you saw in our drawing today, we are going to talk about cursive, which I'm actually kind of excited because as millennials, we're old enough to have learned cursive at school. I know it kind of went away for a while, but I think it's coming back. Probably
Is it coming back?
Probably in an updated form. Well, here was my argument for cursive, and we'll get to the housekeeping part in a minute. My argument for cursive back when people were like, it needs to go away, nobody writes cursive anymore, was at the very least
to learn signatures.
Yeah, you have to sign your name. You have to sign contracts. If you're buying a house, I know when you're buying a house, you sign like a stack of papers this thick. So like at the very least, you should sign your name. But now when you order stuff and it's like, oh, sign your name, people just go zip, and apparently that works.
It's just like in the old movies where they would just put an X.
Yeah, but that was for people who like couldn't read or write, but that was still like a legal thing. But I feel like at the very least you should write your name. Anyway, before we go too deep into that, Sarah, I'll let you do the honors of doing all the housekeeping. So if people want to follow us, where can they find us?
In cursive? Yes.
There is that whole thing about singing in cursive, but we're not going to touch on that.
No, we'll just... whether you write in print or cursive or just straight up hieroglyphics, you should be able to navigate the World Wide Web. So you can check us out on YouTube, which you're already here listening to us right now. But we're also available on all the different platforms, so Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So you have no excuse. We're everywhere, or at least we're everywhere on the 4 major platforms. So, but yeah, please do that and like and subscribe, and please share. We would love other people to listen to our hilarious antics, and and if you just enjoy 2 random sisters just talking about random stuff for 20 to 30 minutes, then you've come to the right place.
The algorithm has found you, my friend.
Welcome.
So when we were making our topic jar, we had actually talked about cursive, starting with this poster that you see over my shoulder here.
We should have a mini-series called What Do These Background Pictures Represent? So episode 1 will be cursive.
Yes. When we were trying to figure out how to decorate our studio space, we came across these posters at Third Planet at the mall. And I think this is one of the last ones we found because we were like, oh, this is in cursive. We should talk about cursive because that's like a thing that people kind of sort of do-ish.
Yeah, but there's a lot of ish.
Well, and I feel like it never went away just because of the rise of the ASMR videos, because a lot of people will look up like hand lettering videos, or they like watching people write with a quill pen or a calligraphy pen. So like writing fancy never went away. It probably wasn't in the school system.
I think it became more of like it's always been an art, but more of an art form versus something that you had to learn for educational purposes.
Very true. Now, in looking at this poster, and then as well as Sarah found this book at the grocery store, which shout out to Highlights. I didn't even know they were still doing their thing. I used to love these as a kid.
I think Highlights came out in the 1940s, so it was about 80 years old.
Of course she knows that.
So I randomly looked it up one day.
But in looking at the chart here in the Highlights book and in our poster, there's actually some differences in how the letters are formed. And they're actually different than how I learned. And I don't know, we're 3 years apart, so I feel like our education is mostly the same, but I know you learned some different letters than I did.
There's enough of a gap that I know that there is a difference. When I was in early elementary, so I want to say 1st grade, 2nd grade, so very, very young. If you do look at the cursive on the frame, it is more of the traditional old school form. And that's how I was taught, because I always thought it was weird that the letter Q, they designed it like a really cursive-y number 2. When I left that first elementary school and we transferred to another school, so I was 4th grade, Then we were kind of taught this version, where it looks like an actual Q with just a little flourish. So this is almost like the updated version for me. So I guess with most millennials, I was kind of in that transition period. I was taught both ways, but Charity said she was just taught the one.
Well, and I'm going to show you, because you learned cursive first and you just said you learned the old way. Yeah. I'm actually going to show you two different letters that I learned differently. So if you will indulge me for a second.
I'll distract the audience while you get your stuff.
Okay, so the first letter that I'm seeing is the letter G. Now, I know my mom, when she writes in cursive, she still uses the old school G, which is also seen on this.
Yes.
The way I learned how to do a capital G.
Yes, I was taught that the second time around.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I never learned how to do the fancy loop-de-loo G. Also, the letter that I'm seeing that is different on both here and here is the H. So here is how I learned how to do the letter H. I didn't connect that. As we can see, I am out of practice, but that is how I learned how to do an H. Did you learn this way, or did you learn maybe this way?
Again, with the newer, I guess the newer's been around for a while. Yes, I was taught the second time around for that. One thing I did notice with more of, I guess, the modern approach is that there's not as many loops and flourishes as you see with a lot of the older stuff.
Yes.
And maybe that's just because, you're teaching young kids, they still haven't figured out full-on motor skills. Maybe doing a loop is harder than just connecting. Maybe there's something to it, but yeah, so...
Oh, actually, I'm seeing a different letter as well. Hold on.
Which one?
The letter D.
Let's see the letter D.
I learned a D like this. Did you learn it this way?
The second time around, I believe.
Yeah, so
which I guess
the D
is kind of interesting.
Slightly different because they have the loop going really close and then up to here. But I learned a D like this.
Again, there's not as many loops, but it's interesting. At the time of this recording, I had bought this book probably about 2 or 3 days ago, so fairly recent. So I'm assuming this is like a more modern,
probably
updated version. So I think they're kind of doing like a hybrid, like they're kind of bringing back some of the old school flourish, not completely, but some of these are kind of reminiscent, and then they're kind of combining some of the ones where you're just connecting, so it looks like they're kind of combining the two now.
Well, and I'm noticing too, so when I was learning cursive, for all the capital letters, they always started like this. So you see how I started the H and it goes upward? Now, some of the letters in the book and a couple on the poster also have that, but if you look in the book, like for example the letter H, it starts with a hook, like almost like a candy cane shape, and it goes down. Same with the M's and the N's. I never learned it like that. I always did that upward stroke first.
The M's and the N's used to confuse me because with both the updated version, also the old school version, I always thought the way the lowercase M's look, it looks like it had 3 humps.
Yes.
Versus the N having 2 humps, which technically neither one has that many in the first place.
Well, I think you also get the same with the U and the W. It makes it hard to read. And I'm wondering, too, if for people who
that's true, because both the V and the W has that little hook at the end. The U doesn't, at least for the versions I'm seeing.
When I did the V's in cursive, mine were pointy. These have a rounded bottom to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is going to be confusing. I do know, because I have friends who are dyslexic, and so writing in print was hard enough, let alone trying to figure out how to write in cursive and having to read it. And I think, and we'll talk about this later, it's not just writing in cursive, because not everyone has nice handwriting, but if you're taking notes or if you're writing fast, you write kind of sloppy and sometimes you might drop a letter or two, so trying to read someone else's cursive is actually very challenging. One thing I am noticing as well on both the letter B, now I don't know if the capital B, if it's supposed to look like that, because when I learned the letter B, it was very similar, but you had, this is not very good, but you wanted to connect the lowercase letter to it.
Yes.
So with these letters, it's almost like you just have a capital letter and then you just start separate with the lowercase. But mine, I always had to learn that I had to connect these two. So just a slight difference, but I mean, I think it's cool that people are picking it back up again. I remember in elementary we had those lime green handwriting books. Remember that?
Yes. I don't know. Yeah. Are they the same color now? Let us know in the comments.
It probably depends on where you get your curriculum from.
That's
but
true. Yeah.
We had lime green handwriting books, and then we had this tissue paper thin. I think it was recycled paper. Now I think about it, but it was like
even if you look at the
brownish
book,
gray,
because it's a children's book, it has the dotted lines.
Yes,
and that kind of helps you with that too.
And we had I guess it was handwriting paper and also spelling paper, where it was like recycled, almost like a grayish brown, like tissue paper thin, which I hated because as a kid, when you're writing and you're making mistakes, you want to erase it. But as soon as you would try to erase, the paper would rip. So like, I guarantee you every one of my spelling test and handwriting papers had at least 10 rips in it because I'm trying to go like, you know, kids, they're heavy handed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, make thick paper. I mean, if they haven't already. Yeah, because
they probably don't even do that anymore.
Well, but even if kids just have to write, period, it's just, it needs to be sturdy, because they don't know how to be soft and gingerly with their movements yet.
And I know now kids have like laptops and tablets, but I think there is a movement to remove some of the electronics out of school and actually go back to writing. Just because I feel like although those tools are great, I think kids and eventually teenagers and adults are going through and not understanding like the basics of writing because they type so much. And although people probably use technology more often, you still need to know how to read and write. Like that's just basic, I think. So I think they're going to start implementing some sort of writing back in school.
I know, well, one of the schools here in town, they had contacted me because I guess some of their kids, they bring in certain adults to like interview them, and then they write a paper about them. And so I had a couple of kids that were asking me questions, because I guess they found out that I do like filmmaking and stuff. And so I was kind of explaining to them, but while I was talking to them, they were actually writing in notebooks. Because this was, I want to say they're about 9-10 years old, so I would say they're probably about 3rd or 4th grade. So, and now I will say it probably does depend on whether it's public school or private school.
That's true. I know homeschoolers never got rid of cursive. I can say that because I know people who homeschool their kids and who have done it for many years. So they at least know cursive. They read at a very high level. So homeschoolers are doing fine.
Yeah. A bit of a side note, when you're talking about, sometimes it's hard to read someone else's handwriting in cursive. I recently started collecting vintage postcards, and a lot of these date back to like turn of the century, so early 1900s. But some of them still have like the writings, like when they were writing to their mom, sister, aunt, whatever. And it's kind of interesting to read because everything they did was in cursive. They would write, and so for the most part, I can read what they're saying. But again, I think it's also a time period thing. Learning how to write 110 years ago is definitely different than writing now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, historical, if you look at I don't know, like the Declaration of Independence or something.
Stuff like that.
And I grew up reading and writing cursive, and I struggle with that because it's so fine tip and so loop-de-loo. And they also spelled things differently back then too, so you're having to go through all of that while trying to read an old historic document that's slightly faded. It's a whole thing.
That's why a lot of museums and other historical institutions, they actually are looking for people that know how to read cursive so they can translate and decipher old documents. So if you know how to read cursive and your local place is saying, hey, we need people that know how to read it so we can figure out what they're saying, then
you're in money. You're in.
It's a very niche thing, but I should have brought a postcard because it is interesting to see how people used to write way back. Well,
going back to your story about the kids writing in notebooks, I will say I'm glad that that's coming back. Because I see it as like riding an escalator, right? If you're on an escalator and you're just standing on it, it's taking you up, right? That's using the technology to go from one place to another. Yeah. But if the escalator stops, you can still use it as a set of stairs. You're not just sit on the escalator how do I get up there? Use your legs and walk. And that's what I think when it comes to basic reading and writing, right? Like you can have an audiobook read to you, which is great. I use audiobooks. I love radio dramas. I love that. But at the same time, I like a good old-fashioned book, or, I used to have a Kindle forever ago, which I wonder what happened to that. Anyway, Kindles, e-readers, whatever. Like, I think it's great that if you can read and write, that is the basis of what a person should know, I think. Yeah.
That's a good analogy with the escalator.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like I've seen enough videos where people do panic and are like, oh no, what am I going to do? And I'm like,
walk, my friend, you got legs, walk.
There's still some forward motion going on.
Well, you were talking about postcards. A friend of ours still sends out Christmas cards, which that's actually something that, unfortunately, that's kind of a dying art too, of actually sending. I know people do e-cards and whatnot, and people are just like, I don't care about the card, just make sure there's a gift card or money in it. But sending a heartfelt note is actually very, very nice. So a friend of ours, shout out to Sara Scott, she sent out, what did she say? She sent out like 200 cards or something?
She sends out a lot. So basically everyone she knows, and she knows a lot of people.
Yeah, and she keeps all of her cards throughout the holidays. So she posted a picture, and she has this blank space of a wall, and she hung up all of her cards on the wall. But when we received her card this Christmas, she wrote in like the most beautiful, and this is why I say when I think of like curly Q and loop-de-loop cursive, like, because she's old school, so she knows the really pretty cursive. Like, I know cursive in the sense that you can connect the letters together, but like, mine's not going to be on some ASMR handwriting video on YouTube. Like, but hers is just gorgeous.
It's beautiful. And it's a really nice touch. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing with cursive. Maybe it's a more personal. Maybe it's a more personal feel, or maybe that's how it feels now, modern day, because anyone can just write something. And not to say that if you just write something in print, it isn't heartfelt. But I don't know. Maybe there's something more emotional connection.
Well, you have to take time to write it neatly.
That's what it is. It's the time. It's the time involved.
It makes me think, okay, this is real specific, but the intro of Keeping Up Appearances, where she's writing her invitations to one of her candlelight suppers, but you can see she's got her envelope and she has a ruler.
Yes.
And so that's making sure that everything is symmetrical and that is on a straight line and that everything looks nice.
Yes.
So I don't know, Sierra, I don't know if you have a hyacinth bouquet type of method of writing, but you have gorgeous handwriting.
Yeah, R.I.P. Patricia Rutledge.
Yes.
Actually, it's interesting you say that. I do follow some lettering artists on Instagram, and they do something similar. Some of them use rulers, while a lot of them have a laser pointer. And so it's so
fancy.
And so a lot of them do like wedding invites and stuff like that, and then the laser extends to the length of, sometimes they write either on a poster or someone actually write on mirrors, and they have like this really cool effect. And so they have these long lines, so that way you're not having to like use a ruler to make a line. You can actually just write on the laser. And I'm like, oh, that's a really clever idea.
I know construction guys use that, and construction people, because both men and women work.
Well, construction workers.
Construction humans, they use that like when they're hanging pictures or whatever.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's
the same concept.
Line, like a leveler.
It's probably the same instrument, to be honest, to do that. So, when I saw that, I was like, I could probably do something like that too if I really wanted to.
I could write on my own mirror at home.
Because I'm special like that.
So last year, during one of our Senior Wednesday presentations at the Sedgwick County Historical Museum, we gave all of our friends these little note cards. And we're like, at some point, we're going to do an episode talking about reading and writing in cursive. And we know, since they're of an older generation, they know cursive. So I was like, write us a little sentence in cursive, and then we'll do an episode and read some of those back to see if we can actually still read cursive. Because I will say I'm out of practice just because I don't do it as often.
Yeah.
So I have your envelope, Sarah, with some of those cards.
Look at that. I do believe my name is written in cursive.
It took 2 envelopes because I wrote the S backwards. Because I was like, anyway, nobody needs to know that. But
don't tell them that you messed up on it.
So here are some of the note cards that our friends gave to us.
Yes.
And we're going to read them.
Shall I break the seal?
Yes. It's official. It's a sticker and everything. So we'll just take turns. We'll go back and forth. And I put these in the envelopes, but I actually haven't read them yet because I wanted to have a genuine reaction. So I didn't want to test myself.
All right, who's going? Am I going first?
You can go first.
Okay. I enjoyed the film you made and the warm feeling I felt and the smile you brought to my face. Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, thank you to whoever that was. If you recognize your handwriting, let us know. Let us know who you are.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I will say, when we did our Senior Wednesday program last year, we presented, was that Call Me Wichita?
I think it was specifically our local Wichita documentary that we highlight artists.
Yes. Okay. So these are our lovely friends from Wanda and Mike Maxton.
Oh, okay.
It says, Sara and Charity, we really enjoy your work. Thank you for sharing your
Talent.
Talent. Thank you. Sorry, Wanda. Thank you for sharing your talent for us to see. Wanda and Mike Maxton.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That is their note there. I did stumble on a word, but for the most part, I did pretty good at reading cursive.
I read it as talent.
Okay, Wanda. Sarah's better than me in reading cursive. All right, you want to go next?
Yes, I will go next. Okay, this one is...
I don't know who. We should have said everyone should have wrote their name on it. So whoever wrote that.
Okay, so this says. I love people can be facetious, but it's fun. It says, "This is my handwriting. Would you call it cursive?"
I would say it's about 20% cursive because I do that too sometimes when I'm writing in print, especially if I'm writing fast. I'll connect some of the letters. So like the U is written in cursive, the OULD in wood is cursive. Everything else is I guess the my is also cursive.
I will say because my handwriting, I think. Okay, I can't say for like men's handwriting, but I feel like a lot of women's handwriting is like that. We kind of combine the two.
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of print and cursive because we do still loop the L's sometime or loop the Y's, you know.
Yeah.
So
especially if you have a nice pen. If you got like a good juicy pen, oh. We just had a moment. Also, you could write in the notes or in the comments if you have a favorite pen. Cause I have way too many pens, but I'm not ashamed to buy another one. So if you've got a good pen recommendation, I want to know about it.
Again, there's some people that I follow videos, and that's what they do. They just let you know what's the best markers and pens and which one has the best ink flow.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I just like to do both.
Because we can imagine it's just like that that fluid motion. Okay. This is from Anne Hathaway. Dear Charity and Sara, just a note to let you know how much I love you and your marvelous work. My life and our community are enriched by your remarkable talent. Gratefully yours, Anne Hathaway. Oh, that's very
so
nice.
Sweet.
Now that one, I will say,
that's some really good.
I read it so and you write like a teacher.
Well, and admittedly...
Yeah, were you a teacher, Anne?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to...
Let us know.
I know we're supposed to be reading cursive, but it's also turning into let's read our fan letters. Because we were like, just write something random. We didn't realize they were going to be thank you cards. So it kind of works out as let's read in cursive also. Let's see all the letters we got today. So I'm down. I'm 100% down for that. All right, this one. I will always remember my wife's aunts. They had the most beautiful handwriting that I have ever seen. It is an art form in itself. Yes, actually, this is the first guy that's written. So far, not everyone signed their name, so we don't know who did what. Yeah. So I always remember So he actually gave a good memory that growing up, I guess maybe his aunts probably didn't write a lot, sent a lot of letters. So he said it was the most beautiful, or his wife's aunts, the most beautiful handwriting he's ever seen. So I'm sure he got a lot of cards. Well, and I'm guessing Keith is probably at least in his 60s. So if I don't know how old his wife's aunt would be, but the older you go into looking at some of that handwriting, that's when it gets really It's just one of those ones that's when you know, you know. If I was a little bunny and had a tail of fluff, I'd sit upon your dresser and be your powder puff. I was wondering where this was going. I don't know. I have no idea who wrote
wrote this, so if this is yours, thank you for the laugh. That's cute.
I don't know if that was made up or if that was from something.
Know.
It totally sounds like it was from some old...
Well, if you... Okay, we're talking about the Sedgwick County Museum a lot, but if you go into the Sedgwick County Historical Museum, go up to A Child's World, where you see a bunch of the toys and children's things. Each section has a little poem that's on the wall.
Yes.
And this sounds like it could have come from that. One of those old-fashioned, like, readers. One of those little poems.
Those McGuffey readers?
Yes. Okay, so we've talked a lot about cursive. We have proven that we can still read it for the most part. Now, before we end this episode, I want us to write some. Now, as I said earlier, it's interesting when you're taking the time to purposely write something.
And see, I haven't purposefully... Even my signatures have gotten sloppy over the years.
Yes.
I really haven't had reason to hone on my cursive skills since, like, elementary school.
Well, it's one thing to write something on purpose. But I want you to just quickly write something in cursive, your regular hurried handwriting, write it in cursive, and then give it to me, and I want to see if I can read it back. See if we can read each other's handwriting. So what I'm going to do here...
Write something kind of quick.
Yes, you're gonna go first, and I'm not going to look. So
does it need to fill the whole paper?
No, I just tore a page out because it's easier than writing in the notebook. So you write something and I won't look. And it can be maybe like 3 sentences or something if you want to write like a...
Oh, okay. It needs to be
if you want to write a song lyric or a bit of a fairy tale or whatever you want, it's your choice.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
But don't write too neatly. It needs to be something kind of like, if you're just like, oh, let me write this down real quick.
All right. Brace yourself. I'm going to write something. Okay, here we go. I totally misspelled already.
So yeah, this episode isn't about spelling, so I guess it's okay if you don't do it correctly. It's funny though, like, because when you have to consciously say, okay, I'm going to write cursive, your brain's like, wait, what? We haven't done this in years. Like, I know cursive, but getting it from brain to hand, sometimes I struggle with trying to remember just how it loops together.
And also it starts out big and gets smaller and smaller as the way writing goes. Okay. Okay. So get ready to look at this writing known as this. If you happen to know what this is, don't tell Charity yet. All right, Charity, read this.
Fist.
That's the first. That's the first typo.
First you say you do, and then you don't, and then you say you will, and then you won't. You're undecided now, so what are you gonna do? Yeah.
Now you want to play.
It's interesting though, your N looks like an M.
Yeah, that's me writing fast.
You put extra loops on the W though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely shows that I haven't. It definitely shows I haven't done this since like what 8, 9 years old. This also shows that my signature, I know the letters for my name and nothing else, apparently.
Yeah, you wrote Sarah beautifully. Yeah.
All right, so now that I gave her a big time song, the song is called You're Undecided, or I think it's just called Undecided, and I like the Ames Brothers version.
Oh,
so
yes.
There we go.
Okay, so don't look. I'm gonna write.
Charity already has her reference on the phone.
I did. Well, I wanted to make sure I spelled my stuff correctly. So, okay, don't look.
Okay. Why are we finding this funny?
Because I spelled it wrong.
See?
What the heck am I doing? Mine is terrible. That's my own fault for picking this particular one. But okay, I'm going to show you first.
Okay.
Here's the audience. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah, I didn't keep mine up as long. I guess I expected them to read
Because yours is, look at this. Close your eyes. Hers is readable. Like, if you can read cursive, you can figure this out. This, I feel like I'm back in 3rd grade.
Oh, this is going to be a great challenge.
Okay, but I think once you get the first few words, you're going to know what it is, but we're going to have a good laugh at this anyway.
Moses supposes his... What's this?
That was my first mess.
I was like, what the heck is this? Okay, Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. For Moses, he knows his toes are roses. For Moses supposes his toes to be. Nice to know that we seem enough to even know when to do the head thing.
That part was not planned. She did not know I was writing that, so there we go.
No, as soon as I saw Moses, I knew. Moses! Moses!
Okay, let's put these back before I break it. Anyway, that is today's episode of Reading in Cursive and Writing in Cursive. Shout out to our friends at the Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum and all of our friends from Senior Wednesday who gave us some great cards to read.
That was very sweet thank yous. I wasn't expecting that. So a little bit of fan mail to go with the educational reading there.
Yes. In the meantime, Sarah told you where and how you can follow us, like, subscribe, all of that. And leave us some notes, some stories. I want to hear. I know you can't really type in cursive. Well, if you choose a different font or something. Probably not on YouTube. But you can also send us a letter if you see us in person. We can see if we can read your handwriting.
Yeah. Make sure you always carry around with you on the off chance that you just happen to bump into us.
Your quill pen and parchment paper at all times.
Yes, that's all we require.